How do you make lemonade out of a lemon on your note deals? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of Note School TV, where every week we bring you the most amazing guests as well as the most amazing content. Today is no different. We have another one of our case study winners from our recent NoteExpo, and we'll bring him on in just a minute. And yes, he is amazing. But before we do that, a few things. Number one, make sure and hit the like button, like this episode of Note School TV. Number two, hit that subscribe button if you have not already subscribed to the Note School TV channel. And number three, hit the bell notification. Yes, bam, hit that bell notification so that you will know when we go live every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. Also, please keep your comments, your questions coming. Eddie and I really enjoy hearing what you're doing out there in your marketplace, how what we are saying in these episodes are affecting you. And please make sure to not only comment, but share these with your friends, right? Share these with folks that are out there. Some of you are looking for investors and that type of thing. So share this and give us some feedback on how that is working for you as well. We would love to have you in one of our 3-day master classes. One of our 2-hour master classes. And, we'd love to have you in a 3-day class as well. But our 2-hour master classes, we'll talk a little more about that at the end of the show. And, let's see. If you'd like to know more about what we do at Note School, noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. So with that, I want to bring on, my friend, my mentor, Chief Visionary Officer of Note School, founder of Note School, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Good morning, Joe.
How are you?
I'm good.
Well,
I'm getting ready for Christmas.
Absolutely, we all are. I have Clark Griswold up my house, right, with all the Christmas lights. That type of thing. Love doing it. I'll share a picture with you guys on next week's episode. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that. Do that.
And Eddie, here in just a bit, Chairman Powell will let us know what the Fed has decided from the end of their last Federal Reserve meeting of the year here. So we look forward to that at 2:00 Eastern time.
I don't know. I don't look for him to raise it.
I don't either.
It's a crapshoot, but I don't know. He said he's going to lower it next year.
Yep.
Everybody in the mortgage business is all excited, and the real estate business is all excited, and the mortgage forecast is not for a drop in rates. Like short term, Federal Reserve rates are not the same. And so we didn't see them rise at the rate that we saw other rates, and we're not going to see them fall at the rate. So
there you go. Not a real correlation there between each of those. So Eddie, let's talk about the news for a minute before we bring on our guests. So let's talk about cash. So Eddie, it seems that that Bank of America, their Global Investment Strategy Fund, has made this announcement and basically saying that, there's almost $6 trillion cash pile in money markets. And a lot of those folks are going to start redeploying those assets. And if we look at, let me get my pen going here. If we look at that yellow line there as we go up, that's messed it up, Eddie. Let's see here, there and there and there, and that line pretty much gone straight up, and you can see that equities is it's basically flat, as well as high yield bonds and treasuries are basically flat as well.
Joe, here's the thing about it. we saw really a huge pile of cash after 2008.
We did.
What happens is people can't find things to invest in, and they sit on cash. And, you know, the news for me, at least my situation, and I hope it's yours, all of you guys, and that is, you know, this tells us that there's going to be a lot of money looking for opportunities in our business.
You're exactly right. And the writer of the article basically said people are looking to reallocate into classes that are less selected, less risky, passive investments. That sounds a little bit
What
like
did you say, Joe? Would you say those three things again?
Right. Reallocate into less risky
Notes,
passive investments.
passive notes,
Mhm.
and not necessarily always selected, right? Not rent houses and not multifamily.
Right. Yes. Selected.
Okay.
Yeah. Notes. Yeah.
As the movie said, Joe, I'll be your huckleberry.
There you go. So yeah, and those are, you know, and here's the thing. This is doubled. The cash really has doubled according to the Federal Reserve since 2018. So you can see how, you know, jump up here and then kind of here and then it's kind of gone. But look at that. That's kind of growing to the moon, right? Or the trees growing to the sky. Yeah.
We will watch this.
We will. So, but you know what? That's good news. That's good news for you guys that are out there and you're looking for, people are just, they're struggling for something they can invest in that's meaningful, has a good, reasonable rate of return. And to me, that sounds just like a mortgage note, right?
Yeah.
Eddie, that is the news. Let's bring on our guest.
Yeah, we are honored. Our guest this week is become a great friend of ours. He is a Note School member now for several years. Comes with a very great past in his professional life and his contributions to our society.
Yes.
And law enforcement, and really was an outstanding in that field. But I'll tell you, when I'm around him, I can see why he would be outstanding, because he just figures his way out of things, right? And our case study today that we're going to talk to him about was where he had to walk himself through an issue that wasn't exactly as he thought. So you guys welcome Mr. Dave Storton.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
How you doing?
We're good. How about you?
I am excellent. I'm sitting in New York City right now. So if you hear horns and sirens and whatnot, I got no sound control here.
Well, the thing about this business is you can do it from anywhere, right?
That's true. That's true.
Now, you don't live in New York City.
No, I live in Boise, Idaho, and we came to visit my son for the holidays.
Awesome.
So we're actually here for a month.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Guess how I paid for all that?
How you started out in San Francisco. I mean, that's where you worked. Was that in
I was in San Jose, just south of San Francisco. Did a 30-year career there. Was a financial crimes detective commander there.
That's great. So I said that when we brought you on, you are good at figuring out problems.
Yes.
And one of the things, Dave, that we've learned, because, somebody will come hang out with us at Note School, hang out with a class and something, and they're like, do you guys ever do you ever admit a deal goes bad? And they're sort of saying it a little bit like and we're like, yeah. In fact, some of our greatest examples are, what do you do when a deal goes bad? So I want to bring the slides up here in a moment. I'm going to wait on that for a second.
Okay.
I want to bring the slides up here in a moment, but I just want to get a little bit of things. So you talked about the fact that you were in law enforcement.
Yeah.
So what was your investing model before Note School?
Well, so the way I got into the investing was I was the commander of financial crimes in San Jose, and after the 2008-9 meltdown, and so we had a lot of real estate fraud coming through, and I saw a lot of people that they had been making money. I don't know how they fell for some of these scams, but there were some people that were dumb as rocks making money. And I thought, you know what, when I'm retired, I'm only dumb as a houseplant. I might be able to do something. And so I went to another training program before I found you, and it was good. But there was little in terms of action. It was, they give you all this information, but then, okay, now what? Then there's no support network. And so then I was just trying to tread in water for a bit. I tried helping people in foreclosure, and it didn't really work out for whatever reason. I'm not sure exactly why even now. But then I went to a real estate investor association meeting in San Jose, and this gentleman by the name of Eddie Speed showed up there. And one of the things I had noticed in financial crimes is the people making money were the attorneys and the banks. And then Eddie said, "You can be the bank." And to me, it was like the whole room went quiet for me. It was like no background noise, no glasses thinking. I went, that's it. That's the guy I need to talk to.
That's great. Well, that is true. You know, there's a reason they build all those big buildings, right?
That's right.
And, you know, we talk about that a lot, you know, like, you know, a lot of people say when I'm a real estate investor, when I grow up, I want to be in the note business, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of think that's true. So you came into note school, like, what were you looking for? Like, what were you looking for from us?
I was looking for, I'm a big processes guy, you know, systems and processes, that's what I'm good at. And so when I came in, I was looking, okay, these guys clearly know what they're doing, but do they have a system in place and a process to help people implement the system? And I went to the 3-day class in Nashville, and I met Ben there and some others. And clearly there was a process in place, and Ben laid all that out, and I was impressed. But just because of my background and what I've seen over the years, I thought, okay, I'm going to investigate these guys, because I'm not walking into a trap like I've seen other people do. You know, you pay a whole bunch of money to gurus and then you get nothing out of it, right? So so kind of like the list of things that we do when we do due diligence, I'm going to investigate Eddie Speed because he's in charge of this whole thing. So I dove into, okay, who is this Eddie Speed guy? You know, it's, first of all, the name, it's like, you know, that sounds like, is he just a fast talker, or what's the deal here? So, but the more I dug in, the more I was impressed with you, Eddie. And
thank you.
And it was, you have a fantastic reputation, and not only just for your knowledge, but for being an honest, straight shooter. And I'm a pretty direct guy. You've gotten to know me a little bit, and that's what I like. And I like that the way you described it as this is a like a college class. You're not going to go, okay, you're not going to hold your hand. You need to do step A and B. And so you give us the information, and then we go implement it. And then if we start to step in it, or we have a question, we can come to you with a question. But it better be a good question. You need to go do your research first, because all the information's there. You're not going to spoon feed us, which I like. And there are so many resources with Note School. I can go in and search. I mean, you guys don't hear from me very much because the information is there. Yeah, I'm on the calls every week. I usually listen to them delayed, just because the way my personal schedule works out. But if I don't hear it on the calls, I can go into the Note School resources and I can search anything and find the answers to most questions.
All right, let's talk about this before we pull your slides up. This is the most important part. You had a background.
Yeah.
Thank God I passed the background test, right? And you like processes, and we were pretty buttoned up in that area. So that's all worked well. And you've now done a number of deals and lots of case studies, lots of great experiences with you.
Yeah.
What were you trying to accomplish? What is your why?
Well, my why is family for me. So I want to set my kids up for success. I want to build the foundation for them to have the knowledge and systems and processes to move forward with their own personal lives and start building. And I have gotten all three of them involved already.
You have? You did.
Yeah.
You brought 2 of them to NoteExpo, didn't you?
Yeah, my boys came to the expo with me, and they enjoyed that, and they were excited about it, and we're already all signed up for next year. My daughter's coming as well.
That's awesome.
And your daughter Sarah, she was there last year. Did she pass her CPA? She took her CPA exam, right?
She's in the process now. There's multiple, and she'll be done with that by next NoteExpo.
But she just had a baby as well, though, right?
You did, yes. So.
Grandpa.
Yeah. Her brothers were saying, how come you're not coming to NoteExpo? You had the baby last week. What are you doing this week?
Oh, that's funny.
It is.
All right, Joe, let's pull these slides up. This is a great case study. So every year at NoteExpo, we have a competition.
Yes.
In 3 categories: performing notes, non-performing notes, and creating a note. So this was the performing note category, and Dave Storton has been a finalist before. Yes. So he is not a rookie to this. He always does a great job. And Joe, let's click through there. There's you and I standing up there proud with him, and he won his check for the winning the competition.
That's right.
It let him buy a meal out one night or something, right?
Yeah, with the 2 boys, it would have let him. That would have almost covered it, right, Dave?
Yeah. That check got a little bent in my back pocket. That was a little big.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't say we were really giving you the money. We just said we're giving you a big check.
All right. So Dave, tell us about this deal.
So this was a deal I bought in January of 2019. So I'd been in joined Note School maybe about a year prior to that, or just maybe less than a year prior to that, actually. So this was a note in North Carolina, and I found it on Notes Direct, and it kind of matched what I was looking for. I wanted something that was not too big, because when I first started this, I jumped in the deep end with Kevin Moore helping me out on a non-performer. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a performer, and I found this one. And so this one purchase price was $30,015 with a UPB of $33,702.
Let's talk about this first, Dave, because this is significant.
Yeah. So the lady, when I started doing the due diligence, she was an older lady, and late 70s when I bought the note. And I didn't know some of the background of her, but I could see it was an older borrower. There's only 120 months left on the note. And I thought, okay, it's probably going to pay off early because she's getting older, or somebody's going to inherit the house and they'll keep it going, or, whatever. And you can see from the picture that she has emotional equity there. She's taking care of her house. It had the proverbial flowers in the flower box and all that. Yep. And so I was pretty comfortable with a good pay history. She paid on time every time. And it had a 10.05% return on it. So I thought, this is pretty solid. And I had an investor, a friend of mine, that, and we could talk about that, Eddie, and how I got investors. That was an idea you gave me. Yeah. But I had an investor that he wanted to get his feet wet with actually owning a note, but he didn't want to buy a whole thing. So when I told him about partials, he was in on that. So
let's talk about that in a minute. So Dave, just this borrower, she was an older lady. She had a tough time, right? And right. She had to clean houses to supplement her SSI income and right. all of those things. But she was a nice older lady, right? And so right. she had a problem, right? So here's your buy, right?
Yep. So you bought this note. You bought it at about a 10%, discount, 10 or 12% discount. But the note rate was 10.5, so your yield was pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the numbers looked real good on this one.
All right, so you bought it, and everything's all good. Oh, you bought it for 89 cents on the dollar. There you go. And so you bought it. You're getting a check every month, and everything's glorious, right?
Everything's fine. Yep.
And then something came along in the marketplace.
So, do you want to come? I can cover the partial play. I did the partial first.
I'll tell you what, let's do. Here's what I'd like to do. I want to get to how you bought it. Mm-hmm. And then once you buy it, then we'll talk about how you raise the money to get your money back out of it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you buy the note.
Yep.
And you paid $30,000, and you're getting a check every month, and then all of a sudden, one of your police officer buddies, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So interesting story. By the way, real estate has been very kind to the police department guys in San Jose, California, because what would have been their little 40-year-old ranch house now is worth $2.5 million, right, Dave?
That's right.
So a lot of them they're all the millionaires next door because their real estate went up in value. And you've done really well using them sort of as your bank.
Right. Yeah. You gave me that idea. And you pointed out all these guys are, they retire, but they move out of the Bay Area because it's so expensive. And they buy, they're leaving there with a couple $1 million, some of them. And they buy a nice house. There are a whole bunch of them moving to Idaho, like I did, or Arizona, Nevada, Utah. And they're sitting on a bunch of cash. And, some of them put it in the stock market and some of them were just sitting on cash.
All right. So you bought this note, you collected 5 payments, and then you sold a partial.
Right.
Now you sold a partial for 32. So you had collected some payments, plus you sold the partial for a couple of thousand more than you paid for it. So you're about $4,200, $4,300 to the good, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's pretty good. And then everything's rocking along. You sold an 8-year partial.
Right.
And you made it work as a passive investor because he didn't have to find the note. He didn't have to really do anything mechanical in doing it because you sort of arranged all that behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's the part he liked is that he got to get his feet wet a little bit. He learned about notes a little bit. And, he's being a police officer. He's got some investigative experience too. So he kind of looked at all the due diligence paperwork and, I showed him what everything meant. Yeah. And he said, this is something I want to get my feet wet a little bit here. And so he went with the partial.
All right. So everything's good. You collected the payments. Now he starts collecting the payments.
Right.
And our lady, who's pretty elderly, all of a sudden we have this crazy thing come over the market called COVID.
Yep.
So June of 2020, the servicer gets a hold of me and says, "Hey, we have a hardship letter." And I thought, okay, I know what that's about. But I didn't know it was this note. I thought it was another note that I've been kind of keeping an eye on. And I thought, how in the heck could we get a hardship letter on this? This is one of my, that one's sitting on just paying everything every month on time.
Right.
Yeah.
So they sent me the letter, and the lady, which I didn't know at the time, she was cleaning houses to supplement her Social Security in order to make her house payment and living expenses.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty good with people. So I told the servicing company, look, I would like to talk to her, because they were talking about, well, how are we going to, foreclose or do cash for keys? And I thought, well, I don't think I want to do that. Let me talk to her first. So I got her on the phone, and super nice lady. She was very upset, thinking that she was going to lose her house. So we kind of put that to rest first. I said, look, this is number. I'm good at numbers. We will figure it out, but you're not going anywhere. We will figure something out for you. And so we did a loan modification for her.
So Dave, before we get to that, so talk to us a little bit about you contacted your partial investor and said, look, I'm gonna need to purchase this back to you. And obviously he would have just said, okay, you said what? I'm going to put you in another deal. What'd you say?
Yeah, I told him what was going on. I said, hey, you can go along for the ride on this if you want, but we're going to have to do a loan. He goes, he didn't even want to hear the story. He said, I just want the payments every month. I liked that. I don't have time to deal with any of that. So I said, look, I'll buy the partial back from you, and I'll get you into another deal, which I did. And he's happy. He's still an investor with me, and he's happy. So I bought the partial back from him.
Awesome.
So you modified the loan.
So you did a mod.
Yep.
And the one on the left is what was the case, and the one on the right is what is now the case.
Correct. Yep.
And so she's making interest-only payments, and you sawed her payment down to $192 a month. Yep.
And she was super happy. That was within her budget, because we actually went over her personal budget, and she was comfortable doing that, surprisingly. But she went over all of her expenses. We did all the math on it. She decided she could afford I think it was $248. And I said, now you need some wiggle room here. So we sawed it down to 192, like you say.
Okay.
And so, Dave, here's the thing, and we've seen this over and over in your deals. You've always been willing to help. You've always, if a borrower had a challenge, we saw you do Ridgely, Tennessee that way, and different. So you really helped this lady, and it was kind of unfortunate what happened here, right?
Yeah, and you know, it was a little bit humorous. I didn't laugh at the time on the phone, but this thing the mod had a balloon payment in 2030, and it had to be done that way legally, because I had, you know, consulted with the attorney, and this is how we want to do. He said, well, here's what we can do, but you're going to have to do a balloon payment in 2030. And she was all worried that she couldn't make this balloon payment in 2030. and she's 80 years old. And so I said, don't worry about that. It's just a legal thing. And in 2029, we'll touch base again, and we'll do a completely new note, and we'll set it up the same way. But legally, we have to do it. And so she was happy about that.
Right. But then she passes away.
You got her rocking along. And so she was elderly and she passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the notice she passed in September, last September, that she passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now what do you do?
So now there is a legal dispute. The family's arguing over stuff, which I know is pretty unusual.
Yeah.
So families arguing over stuff, but they send to the servicer, they send $30,000 to pay off this note. And so the servicer says, well, they still owe $658. And I said, look, I don't want to get tied up in all of this legal stuff for $600. So tell them, let's just do the paperwork, and we're going to take that as a full payout. And we gave them I took that as the full payout.
So you took the 30,000,
right?
That you had received $11,000 worth of interest or payments in the past.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so a deal that otherwise may have lost money, I wouldn't say it's the most profitable deal you've ever done, but it turned out okay.
It did.
No, yeah, it was. I wasn't even going to enter this in the contest, and my wife Victoria said, "You know what? You got to enter that." I said, "But look at the numbers. There's so." She goes, "No. Every woman there is going to vote for this." She said, "It's not about the numbers."
Yeah,
it is not about the numbers, is it?
It's not about the numbers.
Well, yeah, and as it turned out, it's one of those where I'm trying to set an example for my kids, and you know, this is one.
And Dave,
of those
I love this.
So
the servicer sends a note to you, who had been talking with this lady, Bernice, right? And the note from the servicer to you says, Bernice was very blessed to have you as her lender. I'm sure she appreciated you very much during her hardships. May God continue to bless you. Thank you for being so kind. So, you know, that's a pretty big testimony right there, man. I mean, that's, you know, you helped the lady out, you made a little money, you know, and you made a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to get that from the servicer. They're usually pretty stern, and because everything is recorded, so they're pretty careful about what they say. So that was pretty nice that they sent along that note to me.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, we love having the case study because I think that's what all of us are trying to do and message the industry. Some deals are more profitable than others, and you had no reason to, you know, first of all, when you help somebody out, you still make them make a payment. It's not smart for them to not make them pay not anything, right? Because they still need to recognize there's an obligation. It's a demonstration of acknowledging. But what I would say to you is you made it very easy for her to continue to stay in the house and not be in default and not fret about it. And, you know, it would have been fine if you'd have continued just to collect interest, but you got paid off and you made a little money. I mean, over time, but you made about a 25% return.
Yeah.
Probably more than that. You know,
yeah, it worked out fine. Yeah. And you know, she was at that generation, Eddie, where she didn't want anything for, you know, she wanted to pay her
Right.
You know, it was a point of pride with her. So we set the budget up for her to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, we were really excited to have you on today, really to talk about this. This isn't the $1 million deal that, you know, all that stuff. And those are fun. And you've done some of those, and we've always liked hearing those case studies. But the truth of the matter is, this was about a case study about doing right by people. And I think you will be blessed for it, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you very much.
For sure. Right. So I'm going to tell these guys something really quick, Eddie, that they may not know about Dave. So Dave's passion, what the note business gives Dave the ability to do, is really his ultimate passion. And so Dave is probably, I'm going to say, top 5 defensive driving teacher coaches in the United States. Yes, Dave?
I appreciate that. There might be a few that argue with you, but
and I had the opportunity when he was training a group of special operators from they were from Amsterdam. Where were they from?
Yeah, it was a Dutch Special Forces unit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in a car in the front seat with Dave and 2 special operators in the back with these high-powered paintball guns, and we're lined up going about 100 miles an hour, that far from the bumper of the other car, and we do all this kind of stuff, and it was amazing. But after 3 runs like that, Eddie, I did have to take a bit of a breather.
I was relieved that Joe clarified what he meant when he said that Dave made him sick. So
yeah.
That's right.
Just a little car.
That is hysterical. No, Joe came back and told that story, and he says, "Man, that was fun, but I got to tell you one thing." He said, I
don't get car sick, but just telling you."
Yeah, I had to tell those guys, do not shoot Joe. Do not shoot Joe.
Yeah.
You can shoot me. You can shoot the other guy. Don't shoot Joe. So they didn't.
Joe, Dave, you've actually been on Mythbusters.
You have?
Yeah, I did. I've done a couple of Mythbusters episodes. Yeah, I did a defensive distracted driving thing with them, where they were using cell phones and whatnot.
Yeah.
And another one where was called Pit, where the police car makes the violator spin out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, you have an interesting story. You're a great guy. So honored to get to meet your family and see how what wonderful people they are. And clearly it's a reflection of you and your wife. Look, you have a happy holiday. Thank you for treating Miss Bernice the way you treated her. And I'll guarantee you there's a big deal in front of you where you can make a lot of money. And but just know you helped somebody that needed your help a lot.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
All right. So thanks so much. That's just another story from one of our Note School family, our tribe. Guys, if you want to learn more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. And Eddie would like to extend an offer out to you guys to come to one of our 2-hour master classes. Eddie and Max Keller, who is our chief market officer, will do a presentation for you and give you a little more depth on what we do and how you can move forward in training with Note School. So just go ahead and send us an email. Just go to noteschool.com/TV and say, hey, I'd love to take up Eddie's offer on going to a master class. So certainly go ahead and do that. We will see you again, same time, same place next week. We have a case study finalist next week. This person was not a winner, but he was competing against Dave in the performing category there. And then we'll wind up the month the following week with we'll do a yearly wrap up on what's going on and kind of our thing, what's happening. Eddie will give you his vision for 2024. So thanks so much for being with us today. Take care. We'll see you next week.